G'day, it's Rob here again. Well, in previous videos you would have seen I've been playing around with this Stirling engine I'm building up out of bits and pieces, leftovers from old flame lickers, and yeah, playing around with volumes, and when you're trying to, you know, fly by the seat of your pants and that, no plans as such, just working on theory and volumes, you know. Principles, well, things don't always work out. Anyway, I was going okay, and I had it almost running. It was very, very close. And then to top it off, I was using a hand drill, and I got my foot caught in the cord. And when I stepped back, the cord dragged the model off of the top of the bench, and it crashed onto the ground and bent the crankshaft. So that's why I've got the crankshaft apart, and I'm making up a new centre for that. And I'm also making things uniform because, you know, being built up out of pieces, the crankshaft diameter varied from flywheel to flywheel, so I've sleeved some flywheels, and I'm in the process of re-drilling them, you know. And of course you've got to get it dead right or your flywheels are going to wobble around. And this is an opportunity to show you something that you should be thinking about when you're doing model making or anything that's precise, and that is the drills that you use. You know, I think a lot of people just accept the fact that, oh, you know, it's a 6mm drill, it'll be 6mm. Well, no. You can buy drill sets from many manufacturers, and when you actually measure them, you'll find that very few of them are actually right on the money. Sometimes they are, but not usually. And generally the cheaper ones are less on the money, shall we say. So I'll show you what I'm doing and you can see what I mean. Okay, well, here's one of the driving wheels. This little motor has two driving wheels, one for each piston cylinder. And then it has a centre flywheel as well, which I rebushed. I just used Loctite on that, but on this, as these are critical and they're load bearing, I've bronzed them and bronzed in new centres, and I'm in the process of drilling them out, and it has to be drilled precisely. So, what's the issue? We'll check out a few drills in the new Cobalt drill set I got and see how they compare to what they say on the label. The 6mm is actually 5.963, so it's undersized. Okay, let's look at another one. The 8mm is actually 7.961, so you can see where this is heading to. Now, I know people are going to go, oh Rob, you shouldn't be measuring them on the shank, you should be measuring them on the flutes, you know, where it's all happening up here. No, well, you know, yeah, technically yes, but in reality, no, it's not going to matter because the flutes will always be smaller than the shank. So smaller is good, bigger is bad. We don't want to go bigger than the diameter, absolute diameter of our shaft. So undersized is good. You can always go up, but you can't go back. You can't replace metal you drilled out very easily. And so measuring on the shank, I find is okay, and you know that it's always going to be at worst larger than the drill. In reality, you'll find that when you measure shanks and you measure the flutes, there's not a hell of a lot of difference. You know, it might be within, say, 0.002 or something like that, but variation. But generally, they grind the spiral flutes out to the perimeter, and that's it. They don't grind away any more than they have to. Okay, let's look at some other drills. Here's another 6mm drill, supposedly 6mm drill from this set here, and that's well under 5.457. That's a long way back. Just shows you. Here's another drill set. It's only a cheap one, 5.911. So you can see the amount of variation you're getting. Now the problem too that you've got with drills and variation is that the smaller the drill for the same error, the percentage error will be much greater. In other words, if you say had 0.01 variation on a 6 mil and you had 0.01 variation on a 10 mil, in the percentage terms, the variation on the 6 mil would be much greater. You understand what I'm saying? So the smaller the drills, the more critical it becomes as far as variations go. You just don't want any variation, but of course you're going to get variation because of the nature of the beast. If you do this sort of work, always drill undersize and then open out the hole with a micro boring bar, slowly as you can, as gradually as you can. Just work your way up to a perfect snug fit, and that's what I'm going to do. So are the Banggood Cobalt drills a bad set of drills? No, they're not really. As you can see, they're in the same ballpark as the other sets, you know, and you'll find if you do measure your drill sets that pretty much every one of them will be undersized. I've got a theory on this. It may be right, it may be wrong. My theory is that they deliberately make them slightly undersized to allow for variations in the grind and the drill pulling one way slightly. And if it pulls one way a little bit, well then hopefully it'll only pull, you know, 0.024 in this case to give you the 6, you know what I mean? Rarely, very rarely have I ever seen drills that are larger than the stated size. So how do you get round, you know, the problem of drilling an exact hole for a shaft? Well, that's the problem. You don't really ever get an exact hole for a shaft. You have to drill it slightly under, and you have to allow for any variation in your drills, from cutter variation to straightness to absolute size. So you always, in my opinion, you always drill undersized, even if you're going to use a reamer. But then who's got reamers? You know, who's got every size reamer? Well, I certainly don't have, and I certainly don't have small reamers. So, well, very few small reamers, and generally they'll be fixed anyway. You can't vary them. So, yeah, you're in a catch-22 situation. The only way around it is to go well below the size you want. So in this case we want 6 mil. We're going to go, in this case I would go 5.5 and then use a very small boring bar, one of those micro boring bars that I've shown you in previous videos. Just open out the hole with the micro boring bar as gradually as you can, and just use a test fit. And when you get to the point where it just slides in, you're there, that's it, it's finished. And the micro boring bar will do a really good job, a clean job. So yeah, get out your micrometer and go measure your drills, and yeah, have a beer in the fridge, because you're going to need one afterwards when you see the results, because they will all be incorrect. Okay, let's move on. So I'll be using a 5.5 drill, which is actually a 5.461. It's well under what we want, which is 6 mil. And then we've got just enough metal there to safeguard against any run out, and we can use the boring bar. So this is your regular size boring bars. Obviously got no hope of doing that sort of job. That's where the little micro carbide ones come in handy. They're extra good. They can go into those small holes. And fine feed. Alright. We'll work our way out now. Now to do this, this is where you have a carriage stop. They're always great to have, much better than chasing a readout. This is positive stop. You can't go in too far, and when you do it also, put a bit of toilet paper or something down the centre of the chuck to stop the crap going in there. Keep your cleaning up to a minimum. After each pass, just check the size with your shaft and just keep going until it fits. I generally just go to smallest increments I can, and you know, nothing worse than going over, so you're better off just to go slowly, take your time, and you'll get a perfect job. We're on fine feed. Working in close like this, particularly with reverse jaws, make sure your clearances are okay. We don't want to go running into the chuck jaws. So always, you know, manually check it at the furthest in position to make sure everything's going to clear okay. We're nearly there. It's still too tight, so we'll just have to go one increment. Skim a bit off. Light as we can. Always turn off the lathe before you bring your boring bar out, otherwise you will get a spiral in the centre, which we don't want. That is absolutely perfect. That'll just knock on the rest of the way, so I won't go any more. And yeah, that's a really good fit, precision fit. So that's how you do it, folks. If you distrust using a drill, you're going to have wobbly old flywheels and the job's going to look like crap. So anyway, that's it from me, and it's certainly going to be warm today in Adelaide. I might have to have a beer for lunch, who knows, just for a change. All right, see you next time. Cheers.